Greetings, YouTube. I find myself in a strange position when it comes to the narrative around housing and rental properties in America today. Let me say from the upfront that I believe that housing is a right. Everyone should have a place to live, um, and that includes me. And I believe that there should be housing caps, controls. There should be price controls on housing. Housing should not be allowed to accelerate the way it has. If housing costs had kept track with our pay increases and such, your average house would cost about $61,000 instead of hundreds of thousands of dollars. But when it comes to being a landlord, I find myself in a weird position because I'm a landlord. This is an apartment building. I live on the second floor with my wife and 3 cats, and my mother-in-law and her cat live downstairs. Um, and so that makes me, by the narrative of that many people are currently espousing, the bad guy. That I'm the enemy. Now, I don't make my income off my mother-in-law. Her rent helps us pay the mortgage. But we don't charge her the full amount of rent that we could get for a 2-bedroom apartment with off-street parking. Not to mention some of the accommodations that we put in the house, in the apartment, because she has mobility issues. We put a ramp in. That's not cheap. Take my word for it. And we've kept up on stuff. Now she helped. She gave us the down payment of $15,000 for this building. But because we charge her significantly less than what the market would allow us to charge for the apartment, we've paid her back by the fact that she has saved tens of thousands of dollars by living here with us, as opposed to paying rent in a place that not only would be more, but it would be going up every year. And it's been flat for her for almost 11 years. And I don't ever see myself exploiting the person or people that live downstairs after my mother-in-law moves on. I just don't. I don't believe that you should be exploiting people who are vulnerable, and someone who is seeking housing is vulnerable. And there are some quirks in the apartment downstairs, which is a little weird. Like, you open one of the closets, and there are stairs in there that go nowhere, because they used to be the stairs that came up here, because this used to be a one-family unit that was home that was made into 2 apartments. So there are some quirks like that. Like the hookups for the washer and dryer are in the second bedroom as opposed to the kitchen, because my mother-in-law can't have stacking style. She needs them side to side because, again, mobility issues. So there are washer-dryer hookups in what will probably become somebody's office someday. That's what it is for her. So that's a little weird. Even though if I want to, I could put stacking set up in the kitchen later at another date if I so desire. You're not going to be able to have any basement storage because that's my shop, and the door will be locked. You will not be able to get down there. That's where I go in there and I work. So there are some quirks to my home. So I will not be charging. I could probably get $1,400 for a 2-bedroom apartment with off-street parking. Seriously. And I'm not going to charge somebody that much. I probably charge them $1,000 for it, maybe $1,100, something like that. I'm not going to charge what the market would allow me to charge. And again, it's just going to go up from there. And that will be a bigger chunk of my mortgage, but it's not going to be all of my mortgage. And again, I'm not living off of the rent I'm receiving. There are people out there who own big buildings or multiples of buildings that are multiple units. That's how they make a living. They make a living just collecting the rent from the property that they own. And I can understand the argument that they are exploiting people and they are the problem, particularly if they're not maintaining the property, if they're not, making sure that their rent increases make sense, that they're just trying to, screw somebody out of every single penny they can get. I can really see how people are upset about that. But also, I'm a landlord. And I don't want to be the guy who says, yeah, but I'm one of the good ones. I'm still a landlord. And there's still going to be people that think of me as the enemy because of that reason. But without that rent, it would become very difficult for us to get by. We'd do it probably, but it would be very tight. Having that rent helps. And once I retire, which I'm be 50, by the time you see this video, I'll be a couple weeks away from being 57. And when I retire in 13 years, that's going to help me because I'll be on fixed income. I have squat for my own personal, IRA or whatever the hell they're called. I just don't. I don't have much in there. Mostly because when I should have been putting money in, I was dealing with mental illness. And it just didn't matter to me. And now it's really damn too late to make some of the investments that I should have made. If you're making investments in your 20s, you'll be okay when you're in your 70s. But I'll be just getting by. It's a good thing my hobby includes a lot of things I find by the side of the road. So, again, weird position for me to be in this narrative. Where do I fit? I'm a landlord, a 2-unit building. This will probably be where I die. The unit downstairs will help us, but it's never going to pay for our entire mortgage. But we got a really good deal in this place. This is a corner lot, and I paid $150,000 for this place because it was a foreclosure. And it wasn't perfectly maintained, and we are not extravagant folks, and we didn't mind that. I still don't mind it. There are patches on the walls in the house. They're perfectly fine in the sense that they're structurally sound. The wall is smooth, but I never painted them. I've been here almost 11 years. I never painted them. I don't care. It literally does not matter to me at all. My wife's decided to let the garden, our yard, become a pollinator garden to attract butterflies. We have a bunny living on our side yard. I don't care if we don't have a lawn. I don't care if we don't, it's just covered in flowers and things like that. It doesn't bother me at all. If my neighbors don't like it, okay. I don't have a homeowners association to worry about. So yeah, I'm that neighbor. I'm the crazy guy that makes weapons for a living and has a yard that looks like a field, and I'm okay with that. So again, I'm going to be a quirky landlord, and there are going to be people people are going to be like, I don't know if I want to live there because of that. And it's going to be cool. You don't have to, but we'll find somebody that does, and I'll be the best landlord I can. But I'm still part of that narrative, and I still find it weird. And if anybody can tell me where I belong in that narrative, I would love to hear.